Hi guys, it's Sherry. Today we are going to make something similar to this pin. I was playing around and really seeing what I could create, and I absolutely love this, so we're going to do it in a different color. And here's another one that I did of a tulip. So we're just going to play around and see what we could create. This time I'm going to use my fuchsia, a little yellow, some white, and then we have our green. And a lot of this is just my scrap clay. I just really love to use up what I have. So that's what we are going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is, this is my scrap. This is fuchsia and another color pink together. And I don't mind having my colors blended because I feel like it gives more character to the flowers. And you don't need a whole lot. I do want my pieces to be nice and skinny. And I don't want a lot of white, but I want enough that there's going to be a little shading on the bottom. So, and then a tiny, tiny bit of yellow. So I'm just taking a tiny bit of yellow here. And we can always add more, take away, you know, as we go. We just got to kind of figure out what exactly we want first. So let me get this a little flat. And then I'm going to stick my yellow right up against there. And then I will stick my white right next to that. All right, so now I'm going to run this through my pasta machine, and I'm going to try to keep it pretty slender. So I'm going to use my hand to kind of guide my pasta machine to make sure it doesn't get overly too wide. This is my first pass through. I have it on my third thickest setting. I now will end up folding it over, and I'll continue blending it until it's exactly what I want it, and then I'll start going down to make it thinner. All right, so this is how I want it blended. I want just a little line on my yellow throughout. So now I'm going to start notching it down to thin it out. And I'm going to go down to my third thinnest setting. Okay, now you can see when you start putting it down more and more, how those colors blend really nice together. So that's what you want. You want your colors blended really nice. My next step is I am going to get my cutter, and I'm going to start cutting these out. So I want the pink at the bottom with a little bit of white blended and the yellow at my very bottom of my cutter, and then the darker at the top. So put that off to the side because we are going to reuse that. Next, we are going to grab a little bit of our pink. Put it into a ball, and then kind of like a little cone size. And we are going to get our mold, and I'm going to use this size, and then I'm just going to kind of start pushing this in. And I'm not going to worry about it being perfect. I want to mark it up, but I'm not pressing too hard. But I want it to kind of be a little messy, if that makes sense. So now you can see the little marks throughout my piece. That's exactly what I want. And then I'm just going to take the bottom and kind of make it a little thinner. Next, I'm going to take my pin, and I will put that right in there. And make sure that's on there nice. Okay, and then we're going to take our yellow, and I have just my little dental tool here. And I like to just make little scrapings, okay? So you want little bits of, you see how tiny that is? And then we're gonna place those right on the top. So we want little tiny ones. So you can see I'm just putting little dots of my yellow on top. Let's separate this. There we go. All right, so that's what we will start out with. Next, we're gonna take our little leaf here, or not leaf, our petal, I should say. And then we are just gonna kind of mush it in there. So these are gonna be really thin. So just take your time when you're lifting them so you don't end up breaking them. Oops. I do like to keep my petals straight if possible. This way the imprints look more natural than if you have it crooked. So you'll see how beautiful and straight they look. All right. Next, pick up your leaf, and the part that is on the underneath that has more texture, that's the part you're going to want on the outside. So I just like to take one side, press it down, and then leave the other side open. Oops. And then I'm going to slip that right underneath and put that right over it. And just continue following it around. All right, so now I have 4 on here. I'm just going to start pressing it down very lightly. And then I'll make sure that's on there. And then I'm going to put this one right down at the bottom. If my fingers stop shaking. And I'm going to do one more, actually 2 more. So now you can leave it open like this. You could bend them over. You know, you could do it any way that you want. I really kind of like it open like this. So I think that's how I'm going to leave this particular one. And next, we're going to do our leaves. But now take your scrap and put it over here like this. All right, guys? Because we're going to be using this up. And fold it back over. All right? I'm going to roll this out to my 3rd thinnest. Oops. All right, now I'm going to take my big area here, just stick my clay right in, and then press that in there. And press it good and hard. This way you get a good imprint on there. And look how beautiful. You see how beautiful that is? And now you don't need a lot. And then I'm just gonna put this right on here. Okay. And press those on. And then I just like to roll that in my fingers. And I'm going to take it right at the top and cut through and then pull that extra off. All right, so now to make sure this lays the way that I want it to lay, I am slightly going to take my finger here and then move my pen. That way it's on a slight angle. So when you put this on your shirt, scarf, whatever it may be, it's going to be on an angle instead of straight up. So that is how that one flower is done, and it was so easy. I like to have my little petals out just a little bit. All right, so now I'll put this one off to the side. I'm just going to take a pack of my clay and set it there till my other ones are done. This one, what we are going to do is we are going to run this through our pasta machine. I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to run this long ways one time. Now I have a nice long strip. This is still on my third thinnest. And then I will take my clay and I'm going to start folding it. All right, let's start pushing it together. Start cutting it into pieces here. Take little bits of yellow, and I mean tiny bit, okay? So about that thickness. Stick it right in there. Now I want to start shaping it. And I'm going to shape it into a flower petal here. And I'm going to reduce it a bit. And don't worry about if it's perfect, because we're going to be mushing this up. So it does not have to be perfect. And I'm just going to slice it, see what the inside looks like. And then we just have these cool little lines in there, all right? And like I said, don't worry about it being perfect. All right, now, once again, we are going to get our, actually, let's get the little extra piece that I had here. Oops. And I'm going to use the big one this time. And Try to shape it nice. And I am going to get my pen. Let me put this in here. And I'm just going to keep marking this up a bit. And then we'll have a nice long one. This is going to be a much bigger one, all right? Now, I'm going to make equal parts here if possible. All right, take this. First, let's kind of spread it out a bit before we start marking it up. I want these to be bigger. And then I'm going to press this down because I want this to really kind of get thin. See how nice that looks? Look at that. So nice and big. You know what I like most about this project is you don't have to have your petals perfect. And they still come out so pretty. And I'm going to start out with 6. And then I'll kind of see if I need more. Okay. So let's start out with the bigger one here. You know what? Let's do our little yellow on top too. Put that in my clay. That's not going to stay. All right. Now, I just want to do a small piece of green here. I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to mark it up. This time, I'm going to go a little bit different. And I want to, come on. Okay. I'm going to do a circle here. Go right in the middle if possible. And we're just going to cover that up slightly with a little bit of green. And then once again, I am going to turn my pen. And I'm going to squeeze just a tiny bit to make sure that pen is not overly loose. Because we want to make sure it's connected with our clay. Okay. And there is our other flower. All right, so I'm going to set these in my oven, but I'm not going to turn it on yet. So when I put these in my oven, I'm actually going to put them like that. That way, my petals don't get ruined. So use a cutter, something that you're not going to use or need right away. I'm actually going to go with my smaller one, and I'm going to put it in like that. Okay, next we are going to work on the bottom halves here. And I have one left over here. So I'm actually going to reduce this a bit. So to reduce it, I just push it in. And I'm making it smaller. And that'll actually give me more clay to work with at a smaller size. So you can see I'm just kind of pushing it out now. You see how long that's getting? And then I can just pinch the ends in. And that should give me plenty to work on here. And then I have a bunch of tiny ones. And let's go with here and here. All right, I think that should be plenty. I'm gonna get my clay adhesive. And one thing I am going to do is take my poker tool, and I am going to actually use that for like a little handle for me to work off of. I'm going to put my clay adhesive on there. And then remember, you want to work upside down because it's going to be going, it's going to fall on your pin like that. All right, I'm just going to put it here. It's going to be a little hard in the beginning to kind of get it all wrapped up properly, and we want it tight. So squeeze that clay on there. You want that tight. I want it to be completely bonded to my end piece here. Okay, so now I don't feel it moving too much. Now I'm going to start putting my other ones on. And I'm actually going to leave mine nice and long like this. And just kind of curve it off a little bit. So that's what mine will look like. And I'm actually going to bake it right on my piece. All right, so I'm not even going to take this off. It's going to bake right in the oven like that. For my next one, I'll use a different poker tool. All right, so we're just going to use a little bit of this clay. I'm going to run this through my pasta machine, but I am actually going to add just a little white, just like that. And I'm going to run this through so my white is a little bit more blended with it. All right, so I don't want this overly blended because I just want a little bit of the pink color there. So I'm going to fold this up and I'm going to kind of mush this together. And this is not any special way. I'm just kind of making my own little blend here. Okay. And you can see it's messy, but that's okay because most of it is going to be covered up. We just want a little shadow of that color coming through. And you see how it gives it that little swirl of white color? That's what you want. Just a little swirl. I'm actually going to stick that closer to, oops, closer to the top this time. So we see more of that on the tip. So let me, I have it on the bottom to the big one, but for the small one, I just want a little bit of that white showing. Okay. That's way too much. Way too much. Let's get some of that off of there. And remember, we're working upside down, okay? So let me get this big one first. You know, one thing that I love about this is you could tell none of my petals are like perfect. They all have their own little characters to them. Okay, so I'm actually going to put that one there. That one there. Let's put that there. And one more right here. And there is our last one. So I'm just going to pinch this all together very carefully. Oops. Without dropping it. Okay. And then I'm going to put this in my oven as well. And I'm going to bake all of this at 275 for a half hour. The little ones will be a half hour. The bigger ones, I'm going to do about 45 minutes to an hour because the inside is thicker. But take these out after a half hour. All right, guys. So here they are. They're completely baked. You do not have to put resin or a seal on this. Everything is clay. They're beautiful. I absolutely love these. I think these are going to be such a nice, fun, beautiful gift for a mother, a sister, a daughter. Anybody that really loves scarves or dresses will absolutely love this. Oops. So look how pretty. Just absolutely beautiful. Put this on. Let me show you what it looks like. So I'm just going to put it on this little washcloth. So this way it kind of represents like a shirt or a scarf. And you just put them on. Same thing with this one. There you go. So I love that we were able to create this one and then use the scraps to create this bigger, beautiful one. And I really do hope that you enjoy creating these with me. If you did, please remember to hit that like button, subscribe, make a comment, and I will see you all next time. Bye.